convertible and we skipped school, and the wind was warm out on the highway. Nowadays, charred gray forests stretch out for miles on either side of the winding dirt roads leading to the park. I remember thinking that it was a bad sign, like maybe going there for our first wedding anniversary was more of a desperate attempt at something that was long dead than anything else. I shook my head when I saw them, trying to end the silence, start some conversation, but all you said was, "What? You feeling bad for some fucking trees?" Since you came home 2 months earlier than your deployment was supposed to last, it wasn't as much of a surprise as it would have been. But you know, we went because it had been my plan that trip. It was what I forced myself to think about every time I went a little too long, 2 weeks, sometimes 3, without any calls, any letters. The wives and girlfriends I'd met on the internet told me to do it. Pass the time by planning for your homecoming. They were full of tips and encouragement that made the days less lonely. A soldier doesn't fight because he hates what's in front of him. A soldier fights because he loves what he left behind. Make it worthwhile, they said. Show him what he left behind. I mean, these girls, don't get me wrong. We followed OPSEC, we didn't discuss anything we weren't supposed to, but we became close, shared our stories, exchanged links to wedding photos. They promised that they had gone longer without talking to their soldiers, and everything had turned out okay. There was always someone around to talk to when I stayed up all night waiting, making sure I didn't miss your call. They told me, make sure the ringer's on, go to sleep. Think about how nice it'll be when he comes home. Just be strong, they said, be strong. At the entrance to the parking lot, you stopped to pay the park ranger and get a map. I held out my hand, waiting for you to pass it to me like you would have before, but you just tucked it into the visor and drove forward. Later, when I told the doctor what happened that day, she called that moment a trigger. Give it to me, I can hold on to it, I said. You don't have to do the things I have to do, you said. I know I don't. I'm saying let me hold on to the map. No. You want to know why you can't hold on to this? And you told me. After you got home, you told me all the time. Reminded me that I was not part of your unit. Granted, you told me because you were trying to help me understand, but I didn't. I still don't. I will never get it. The only thing I understood was that you treated me like I was weaker somehow, like I hadn't spent these months being strong in my own way. I figured if I could just find a way to show you, maybe you would see that we were still equals. The shade of the trees over the entrance eventually gave way to open plateau and clear blue sky. The gravel crunched noisily under the tires. You pulled into the first spot you saw, and we hopped out of our respective sides, squinting at the sun. Our doors slammed shut, yours first, then mine. You bent forward and tied a bandana around your forehead, tucked the triangle into the back to cover the smooth skin of your scalp. Then, without a word, you started walking toward the board at the end of the trail entrance, and just as wordlessly I followed. You pointed at the waterfalls on the mounted map. Here, we take the blue trail. I nodded, then pointed at the poster next to it and laughed. If you encounter a mountain lion. If you encounter a mountain lion, make yourself look as big as possible. I can read, you said. We stared at the rest of the bullet points in silence. You put a finger on the last bullet and breathed so sharp that it could have been a chuckle. Fight back if attacked. That's funny.